Hello and welcome to Feature Friday number 9. Today we have a match in the Tier 9 US cruiser, the Baltimore. It was sent in by DerKleine. It was actually sent in quite a while ago and I'm a bit sad that I didn't feature it earlier. I'll explain later. I know that it's not actually Friday and that actually most of the Feature Fridays haven't really been on a Friday. Deal with it, I guess. Anyways, this is a match on the map Warriors Path, and the highest tier is Tier 10. So, the Tier 9... well, most of the ships seem to be Tier 9 in this game. Or maybe that's just bias. The DerKleine spawned more or less towards the middle and headed straight for the A-cap, and it seems that he is interested in using this island to hide behind, or that island, I'm not sure which one. The enemy carrier, which is an Essex, went for the strike against the destroyer, which I imagine DerKleine is right-clicking furiously on, like... well, I can't show you because this is a replay. Anyways, the Essex tried striking the Fubiki and she was quite successful with dealing the damage, and it's actually a very good plan to try to stop people from taking the cap zone. Anyways, it's interesting that we can actually see the enemy Essex, and it seems that DerKleine isn't actually using the range module on the Baltimore, which I find a bit surprising because that is something I would recommend using on the Baltimore. Just having more range on a cruiser is just so good, because if you fall low HP, you can always fall back to you know, high range and just spam HE from there. Yes, it's not very effective, but you're almost dead. It's better to use that than, you know, just YOLO in and die. By the way, if you're wondering, when he has a ship selected like this, there's in the middle of the screen, and it shows angles. This is called either the relative angle mod or the navigator mod. I'm not sure which one. I don't find it that useful because you can really just use the minimap and look at it and have the same idea essentially. Or you can always use the zoom in and double tap the M key trick to, you know, see over islands. So it's not really that useful, but some people are interested in it, so you might want to give it a try. It should be in the official Wargaming mod pack, but it's definitely in the other mod pack, the one that has existed since forever. I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. So, it seems a Montana is coming around the corner very soon, and I do wonder what DerKleine is gonna do about it. I would try hiding, and it seems that he is reversing to try to hide behind the island, at least until the Montana passes, I imagine. Of course, this doesn't, you know, mean that DerKleine isn't gonna fire any shots, but the important thing is to try to remain, if not hidden, then at least have an island in the way of the Montana shells. Unfortunately, he is spotted, probably by like a DD that's inside the B-cap or something, because it seems that the B-cap is not being capped. Oh, actually, I might take that back. Yep, the B-cap is definitely being... oh, it's the Aerroon, of course. Of course it's the Aerroon. And DerKleine switches targets to the Aerroon as well. I think that's an okay decision, especially since the Montana is gonna be behind an island. So, you know, if you can hide from the biggest threat, which is the Montana, it's a good plan to do. Especially since the Aerroon is closer anyway. And, well, a cruiser can kill another cruiser quite quickly, so it's important to be wary of the threat. Although if DerKleine keeps not showing broadside to the Aerroon, it's not gonna be nearly as dangerous. By the way, I like the decision of the ammunition that he's using, that he doesn't quickly switch to the AP. Because, well, if the cruiser turns a wing and it's not angled anymore, then AP is completely useless, whereas HE is useful at almost every angle, at least the 203s are. So he can deal damage every single salvo, which, you know, averages out to decent damage, and if you add fires on top of that, I think it's slightly better than AP in most situations for a cruiser fighting another cruiser. Okay, island hiding is still ongoing because it it's a good idea for DerKleine's team. They have 2 cap zones, the enemy has none, and they aren't really even in a position to take another one, but they do have a slight advantage in ships. The Rune's running away, so DerKleine needs a new target, really. If he had a range module... Wait, actually... I don't remember what the range of the Baltimore is. Oh, it's a gearing. A free gearing. Wow. He's at 7.5 kilometers, which means that the gearing is gonna have trouble. He might use smoke, but he is within radar range of the Baltimore, which means that once the gearing disappears, the Baltimore is just gonna radar, and that's just some rip and peace for the gearing. Wait, what's going on? Why is he spotted right now? Okay, he isn't spotted finally. I actually... Okay, and now radar, 35 seconds, 9.5 kilometers, everything is spotted, and the gearing is clearly inside that range, so... Rest in peace, gearing. I was wondering if that was maybe like a replay bug. Also, his engine got broken. Jesus, he is so unlucky, so unlucky. Although he's gonna get out of the radar range in a moment, so DerKleine needs to, you know, get on it. And there she goes. Although, you know, DerKleine wouldn't get another shot off anyway against the gearing. But there's still a fire going on the gearing, and the gearing might just expire to that sad fire. Okay, now it's time to switch targets to the Bismarck. By the way, have you noticed, it's been 8 minutes, and he has been sitting here. There have been enemies within like 13, 14, 15 kilometers, and like 1 has shot at him. 1 out of all of them. So he has got quite lucky in this game.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
And the gearing expired to the fire. That's... it can happen to DDs. It's unfortunate, it's very, very unfortunate if you are the DD though. Also, does the Baltimore really have 17 point... No, wait, sorry, that's the concealment range. Of course, yeah, this Baltimore does not have the range module. I definitely recommend the range module on the Baltimore. Actually, even on the Des Moines. But I understand that maybe on the Des Moines you can do without it. On the Baltimore, I would definitely recommend getting the range module. Although I guess if they have like less battleships, it might not be that useful. So, right now, this game is calling into question whether capping really wins games, because they have all 3 cap zones. However, the points are pretty much the same, because DerKleine's team has lost 6 members, while the enemy team has lost 3, and it's very difficult to actually make up for this, because even if you are in the points lead, in the long run, they will just cap everything back and you won't be able to hold them. And since you are equal more or less in points, it'll be difficult. So DerKleine is leaving his zone and heading towards, well, where he spawned, which makes sense because he's a cruiser, he isn't a frontline fighter, or at least shouldn't be. They still have 1 battleship, it's the Iowa in DerKleine's division, so that guy's gonna do his tanking. Hopefully they'll be able to pick off this Bismarck soon, although they might want to switch target to the Mogami for a salvo or 2 to decap. And that's exactly what DerKleine does, which is quite incredible because I haven't really watched this, you know, in detail enough to like make notes or anything. I just guessed that would be a good idea. Switching to AP here is a very good choice because the Mogami was clearly going to show broadside since she was turning away, and well, because of it, she took 15,000 damage, and now she's gonna live. This AP salvo should probably keep her alive, but the HE salvos following up, probably not. Although, you know, DerKleine might need 2 of them though, instead of 1, and the Iowa might get a shot in between. The Iowa needs to be afraid of torpedoes. Well, there are the torpedoes. Hopefully the Iowa will be able to dodge them. So, it seems that DerKleine's team wants to do like a last stand on the B cap. I think that's a good choice, because they can't really afford giving away 2 cap zones. There are torpedo bombers coming in from the side, although they are repelled by the fighters.
Torpedoes, direct front.
But yeah, essentially they need to make a last stand in a position where they have more cap zones, because I don't think they would be able to bring back the numbers, so to say, in their advantage. Although, of course, that is a potential possibility, but I don't think it's very likely. So they might want to do like stand in a position where even if they, you know, lose or don't win really hard, they will still be ahead, which, you know, in terms of points they are. The unfortunate thing is that they have lost all of their destroyers while the enemy team still has a destroyer left, and it is unfortunate because destroyers are usually the best ships to do this runaway strategy on, where, you know, you've noticed that you have way less ships, but you have more points, and all you need to do is survive until the end of the game. So destroyers are very good at that, whereas, you know, cruisers, battleships, they're okay, but not as good. Okay, so the risk here is that there's a Montana on the side, which might just blap the Baltimore soon. Right now, DerKleine is trying to keep an island between, also planes incoming, so defensive fire up, etc, etc, and as usual. Probably has the torpedo bomber selected for a target. I think that is the most important one, and all of them got shot down before they actually, you know, even got the drop. Unfortunately, DerKleine's teammate, the Iowa, has gone down. He can see torpedoes coming in, so he knows where the destroyer is. Those should be easy to dodge. It's a Kagero though, so it's rather fortunate. And for some reason, the enemy Essex is within range. Honestly, if DerKleine had the range module, he could have shot the Essex already at the start of the game. That would have been very, very useful. He switches to AP because he knows there's a Moskva coming, and that Moskva definitely wants to do a fight, and she seems to be showing broadside. It is a good idea to try to put some range between them, because after that Moskva there is also, wow, 33,000 damage in one AP salvo by a cruiser. That is incredible. And is this goodbye for the Moskva already? Well, not quite. 10,800 to follow up. 2 salvos, 44k damage. Why not? Anyways, the reason why running away was important because there was an Amagi following that Moskva. But Jesus Christ, 33,000 damage in one salvo by a Baltimore to a Moskva. That is incredible. So now the next target seems to be this Amagi. I think that's a good idea. And keeping a distance is also a good idea because, you know, he can try dodging more shells in that way. Because obviously the Amagi would like to shoot the Baltimore. Personally, I'm not sure if I would stay in this position. I might want to reposition to try to pick that Essex off. Although, I'm not quite certain if that's the best idea though. Because, you know, he would be going closer to not only the Amagi, also the Montana. So maybe doing what he's doing right now is the best idea. Although, it's not like they have many better ships to try to, you know, tank the battleships, because they have 2 Baltimores and a Zao. It's not like any of those are going to tank it. There are some planes incoming. He doesn't have defensive fire, but the other Baltimore might, so it's not that dangerous. Also, 4,600 damage with HE. Man, this high tier 203 HE is just so powerful. I don't know what it is with these carriers though, going within fighting range. Sure, it kind of helped with the strike by the enemy carrier, but it doesn't help with the strikes or shots with the battleships. I guess these carriers are trying to be very proactive, trying to get within or trying to get near enemies. Okay, so the Amagi is down. Now the big threat is, wow, the Montana still has like 85% HP. That's a bit too much. So the target should be the Kagero, I think, and that was a nice decap. Quite lucky too. And they still also have a New Orleans, but I guess the New Orleans isn't much of a threat considering the 3 cruisers left are a Baltimore Zao and another Baltimore, so the New Orleans is definitely at a disadvantage fighting all of those. But the Montana definitely is not. They have 4 minutes 30 seconds left, so they technically could try to play it out on time, because they are at a massive points lead. I think the carrier should try to hide as much as possible. Like, run away as far as you can, because even if every other ship dies, it might still end up being a victory due to the points. So it's very important that at least one of the ships survives, and I believe, you know, the best decision there should be for the carrier to survive, since she doesn't need to be close to actually fight the enemies. The planes are incoming, but it's inconsequential really, although maybe the carrier can't really do the hiding strategy since she only has 13,000 HP, so if a carrier comes in for a strike, that might just end the game. But they are getting ever closer to the actual victory of this game. 900 points to 440. They know where the Montana and the Kagera are. The New Orleans probably is going for the Sea Cap, which I believe is the correct decision by the New Orleans. I'm not just certain whether it's, you know, early enough. Unfortunately, the DerKleine's team lost the Essex, so it'll be very difficult to try to play out on the, you know, if one ship is only left to try to run away, they might have to just fight. He fired HE, although right now AP would have been also a good decision. One of the Baltimores just died, which is very unfortunate. The Montana is showing a flat broadside, which is very useful for AP, but obviously, you know, you don't want to really risk it that much against battleships. The New Orleans arrived at the Sea Cap. DerKleine needs to watch out for the Kagera, because, well, the Kagera might just come and try to surprise him with torpedoes. Although right now he knows he's not spotted, which means that the Kagera is not within line of sight. DerKleine says that he's going to A, but I don't think it makes sense. He's not obviously going to make it there in time. He might be able to pick off the carrier, though, if the Essex, the enemy Essex, is in a poor position. They still have 2 minutes left, so I'm not quite certain. Like, doing these numbers is annoying. So 2 minutes is 120 seconds, that's 24 ticks, so the enemy team would gain 24 ticks times 9. So the enemy team could potentially catch up, but I'm not quite certain. No, actually, I don't think they can. 20 ticks and 160 difference. Yeah, actually, no, they should be able to catch up. So DerKleine might need at least a kill or try to block one of the cap zones for a slight, you know, period of time. And obviously there is still the possibility that the Kagera is somewhere over there that they might be able to kill. 1 minute 10 seconds left, and there's 100 points difference. Oh, Kagera, oh my god, Kagera, you just... If the Kagera stays safe, I believe the enemy team would win. But the Kagera was over here, and I believe this is it for the Kagera. If she doesn't have smoke, she might literally have lost the game for her team. Although, DerKleine might obviously still die to the Baltimore. Sorry, the New Orleans. Since that salvo actually hurt a lot. Goodbye, Kagera, though. Let's see how big the points difference is. A swing by the DD is 75 points. So let's see if the end result is less points than that. I believe right now it is the correct decision for DerKleine and the Zao to try to hide as much as possible and not take the risk of going into the B cap. Using radar here is very smart because it tells them where the enemies would potentially be, but, you know, it only has 9.5 kilometer range. It doesn't say it here, but it is what it is. And as you can see, the points difference is less than 75. This is less than 75 points, which means that if the Kagera had been alive, the enemy team would have won the game. The Kagera being over there was what lost them the game. Of course, obviously, you know, good play by DerKleine, etc., obviously helped. But still, the enemy Kagera pretty much lost them the game there at the end. So anyways, let's look at the stats, and, well, 205,000 damage in the tier 9 US cruiser, the Baltimore. And this is actually one of the reasons why I was sad that I only made the video now and not before, because If you look at this, this is on vovsnumbers.com with a hyphen in there. I'll put the link in somewhere here. And the reason why it's sad is because this was for quite a while the the damage record in the Baltimore. And I remember looking at it, I believe in the last few days, and it was still the damage record. But now when I looked at it today, there was some Jim Bob that had a higher Baltimore damage game. It's unfortunate. It isn't #1 as it should have been if I had made the video like, I don't know, a month ago or even before that when it was sent in to me. So I'm sorry, DerKleine, but it was still an amazing match. And 6,666 experience in this game. What a devil, what a devil. 210 shell hits is a lot on the Baltimore because she isn't a very rapid fire cruiser. 24 plane shutdown from an Essex. That is more than a quarter, I believe. Only one ship kill though. High caliber Confederate, 13 fires is a lot. 9 Citadels is also a lot. Especially both of them in the same game, so you can tell that DerKleine spent a lot of this game actually shooting at enemies. In the team score, you'll see that DerKleine got 3,333 base experience. And I'm not quite sure if this is on the so-called new economy. It might very well be, otherwise it should have been a even higher result. So 3,000 base XP on the Baltimore is incredible. That is insane. It is nuts. Obviously, the damage record is also insane and nuts, etc. But this kind of base XP, especially how nice the number is incredible. And it's interesting to note that the enemy Essex actually didn't die. Also, if the enemy Kagero hadn't shown herself at the end where the DerKleine was and the Zal were able to pick her off, their losing move would have actually been that their friendly Essex would have died. So basically, carriers, please keep your ships alive. Don't YOLO in. If you see cruisers, try to stay behind them, not in front of them. Because your concealment is worse than theirs. So if the enemies, even if it were the same, if the enemies see them and you, they will shoot at you, because you going down as the carrier is a much bigger deal than the cruiser going down. Anyways, let's move on. Detailed panel. Only kill is on the gearing, where he did 9,500 damage. 47,000 damage in fires, 99,000 damage with straight up HE damage. 60,000 damage with the AP, more than half of which were in one salvo against the Moskva. 1.3 million potential damage taken, it's a very high number for a cruiser. 47,009 damage taken, yet he still survived with some HP. Thank you very much, heals. Quite a lot of damage to the Aerroon, very little, or I guess 1/3 to the Montana, and well, quite many planes shot down, mostly dive bombers. And what does this amazing result give him? It is 172,000 credits profit at tier 9 without premium. That's insane. With premium, 360k profit. The new economy is just so good for destroyers, cruisers and battleships. It's just so good. Thank you very much, DerKleine, for sending this replay to me. It was incredible. And I'm really sad that I didn't really make it into a video before. It kind of deserved it. So anyways, I would like to thank the Patreons on Patreon now. Thank you very much for your continued support, Ultra Real. And I hope I see you guys next time.